VeeFam, welcome back to another episode of the VeeFam Sessions. My name is Mr. Messer, but you can call me Rob, and I am so privileged, over the moon, humbled to be joined by creator of VeeFriends and incredible human being, Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary, thank you so much for being here.
I'm thrilled to be here with you, Rob. Thank you for all your support through all these years.
This is so fun, so timely. Little more than 4 years ago, you're in Malibu doodling these characters. Now, fast forward May 9th, 2025. There are lines 10 people deep in Oshkosh, Arkansas, waiting to get their hands on Topps Chrome. In a blip, like what's going through your mind right now?
A lot of gratitude um, for my team. Just an enormous amount of hard work has gone into this moment. Uh, for the community that has been here for the ride, people like yourself, the people that listen to this show. And then on a bigger level, just like, the places I always kind of go, my parents, you know, my circumstances, just the serendipity of how my life worked out. You know, I often say adversity is the foundation of success. And, you know, it just really, really exciting. Literally 40 years ago, I'm discovering cards for the first time, literally. And became a huge passion of mine from 7 to 17 and foundational. I mean, baseball card stores and shops and shows were where I cut my teeth, like where I learned, where a lot of the moves, the strategies, the ideas I have today were formed in the fire stations and the Elks clubs and the gymnasiums and the malls of New Jersey at these shows. And so it's a very it's a very nice feeling. It's going super well too. I'll be honest with you. Another thing that's going through my mind is I feel really good for Series 1 holders.
Mm,
Like me and Tyler, who's actually right behind me, he's right there. We were literally one
that's
second
high.
ago. Big shout out to Tyler. Actually, almost fucked this up and almost missed this call because we're rolling up to the next door and like I'm in the zone and Tyler's like, "Just be on something." I'm like, "Oh shit!" We almost had a third. We almost had a third bite at this apple, Rob. Um, we were just looking at the pricing. We were looking at eBay and like the boxes are starting to push $400 a box. And like the first thing I thought, I'm like, man, so pumped how we did this for Series 1 holders. And so just a million feelings, Rob. Those are just some of top of mind.
Mm. And listen, on that note, a few weeks ago you gifted me my first S1, a helpful hippo, and I'm on this journey with you. As much as you believe that, you are gonna grind for the next 55 years to build it out, I am believing it so much. Like, I'm documenting every story. I just think it deserves a oral history book. Like, you're familiar with Jim Miller.
Of course.
I just believe in it so much. So to get that gift from you, the Walt, so to speak, means the world to me, and I'll always treasure it. Um, you're very there's a lot of layers to you. There's
Do you before you go to this, that's a fun transition, so thank you. Uh, do you feel like a whole different way towards the helpful hippo now?
oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I never looked
I was.
twice at the hippo,
I
and now
love
I'm
that.
I'm all about it. Yep.
I love that. That's my favorite part of this whole journey. It was funny, I'm a human being, and what I mean by that is, you know, I was in a moment where I was like, you know what, I really want Rob to have one. It matters to me. And like those 20 minutes of just like looking at the characters, thinking in my feelings, you know, um, I just think it's the perfect one for you. Even just how you describe now, like you're talking about a help. There's a lot of things you could think about, humbled, all that, but like helpful felt right. The hippo felt
I,
right. And I think the
it,
helpful hippo actually is underrated too. And so I thought it would be right.
it is. But thank you. I'm gonna cherish it forever. So there's Gary V, the out in front character. There's Gary Vaynerchuk, the emotionally intelligent, building an empire businessman. There's Twitch Gary that everyone loves. There's Wine Gary that's super generous, giving away Super Bowl tickets. But then there's like Gary the creator, which has probably the most mystique, right? The game master. And you've said it yourself. Like, people don't know how much you're like being thoughtful about the characters and character development. So let's go back to Malibu. Like, we know the lore, the workplace warriors, V coin, like that's at play here. But in 2025, you're saying you're using VeeFriends to scale kindness, empathy, uh, patience through these characters. Was that like your framework back then when you're developing them,
Yes,
or were you just in the
yes.
dirt?
No, no, no. I don't. It's fun. I have not looked at the footage of Malibu ever, and now that we're 4 years removed, um, I'm trying to think about when I'm going to. Like, because I don't actually want to, because I almost don't want to be affected by it in some ways.
Mm,
But what I can tell you is, I don't think I kept this to myself. I do believe I said out loud in film that I'm about to be Walt Disney, and the V friends are going to be Gary V has been Mickey Mouse, and I'm about to be Walt Disney, and V friends are about to take over for Gary V. So what I have been trying to do as a content creator in Gary V form is 100% what the V friends were created to do. Right? Tenacious termite, an accountable ant. They're going to be the Gary Vee that's like, that's the clip that me and Babin, made when I was like yelling at you and be like, shut the fuck up and let's go. And then compassionate catfish and empathy elephant are the one that I show up a lot. Or, be the bigger person or graceful goldfish. Well, that's what that version of me showed up in a meeting with Courtney that is just between Courtney and I forever. But those characters showed up in that moment. And so I I am the V friends, and the V friends are me. Mission of them spreading kindness and compassion, but accountability and tenacity, competitiveness, but caring like a camel. That was always the framework that I knew that I couldn't. I knew at that point when I made VeeFriends that I was not going to be able to reach 8 billion people as a personal brand. Not everybody's cup of tea. The world is big. Um, it was just not going to happen. But I felt that if I built an intellectual property that was grounded in the principles that my mom and dad taught me, that my life's journeys taught me, that what I believe in the universe, that there was a way and that it would reach the world. Let me give you an example. You know this. Kindness matters to me at the highest level. Look at the carrot. I didn't pick kind kangaroo. I didn't pick kind koala. I picked kind kadu. Because I felt like this is the global brand, and let me pick an animal that is predominantly African. That what do you think? I'm like was born yesterday. I know that most people don't know what a kadu is, right? But it's important
yeah.
to me that I knew that. But what I did know was that VFriends is going to do cartoons, and maybe me as Gary Vee, business development entrepreneur, I'm going to get a relationship with the biggest streaming service in Africa because I'm that guy. And that I would have leverage to make a cartoon. And who the fuck do you think is going to lead the pack in those cartoons? Fucking Kind could do. And that's going to matter to a little kid in that part of the world different than it will to some kid in Staten Island. And so,
Mm.
yeah, I had a very strong vision, and I've been executing against that vision for sure. There's always surprises along the way. There's always things you change your mind on. But the macro vision of building a world of characters, don't forget. And I think people forget this. Tyler, I want you to pay attention. Courtney, I was inspired by CryptoPunks and Mooncats. Almost every other NFT project that came out during that 2021-22 era was a singular character that had variations. More Hello Kitty than Disney and Pokemon.
Absolutely.
If I was just doing an NFT project and just trying to sell some fucking NFTs, I would have made a doodle and put a hat on it and gave him a fucking toothbrush and would have called it a day. This is day one fucking lore.
Yeah, you guys were cutting edge on a lot of things. The whole pick your character, the education. No one did it. No one educated like VeeFriends. No one had the mechanisms like
Yeah,
VeeFriends.
we onboarded a stunning percentage of the collectors of the other great IPs in NFT land were onboarded by VFriends.
We're at this place where we're going. We're talking about the doodles. BTC era, before Top Scroll, before the Canon, however you want to frame it. But now we're moving into storytelling. We know you were a doodler as a kid, doodling in meetings. What about storytelling? Like, were you a storyteller as a kid? Like, thinking
If my,
back.
you know who you need to interview? My sister, and ask her and Robbie Turnick. I'm going to give you her and Robbie Turnick. I'm going to try to get you access. None of you've never heard this. No, I've
I
never
love
said
that.
this out loud. I'm giving you some scoop. My sister brought it up this weekend at my mom's big birthday party. We used to play a game in Edison, New Jersey called Adventures. Here is the game. Every kid in town would get around me. Always my sister and Robbie Turnick. Sometimes Denise. Sometimes Eric Godfrey. Sometimes Andrew Greco. Sometimes others. Mary Beth. Bobby Duffy. It was called Adventures. We would all gather. I would sit, and we would be in outside. Everybody would pick up like a rock or a rope or a stick, and I would literally narrate with my words as we walked around the neighborhood a fantasy world play. I'd always be like the lead warrior. My sister would always be the princess. Then I'd always try and make my friend Robbie like the ogre, and he'd be bad. And I would be like, "There's the fucking evil," like imagination out the fucking yang,
So you had it from the get.
bro. Fucking 7 years old, walking around Edison, New Jersey, making up stories in real life, like a fucking like you can't imagine. Here are the fucking, pig monsters. Let's attack them. Robbie, you just got shot. Fall. Like literally narrate for 30 minutes without a breath, Gary Vee style back then too. So yeah, creativity's always been ingrained in me.
Um, I want to talk about momentum for a sec. I had a chance to sit in with the lunch with you at VCon, and we were talking about tennis and momentum and how like there's a funny thing that happens if you're down 4-1, 5-0 in a tennis match where someone makes a mistake, you hit a good shot, and
2 minutes up.
everything shifts.
That's right.
Everything shifts, and you're
That's right.
unstoppable.
That's right.
Has there been a moment? There's so many collaborations, so many amazing things that happen. Was there like a singular moment or
Yes.
event for the last four
Yes.
years?
Yep. The comic
Let-
book sellout.
Wow, that
Bro,
was profound.
we sold 3,000 comics, one in one drop, one in next drop, in a combined 49 seconds.
Unheard of.
But heard of. But if you're asking me a momentum moment, everything, everything starts now in the Canon era that will really, I'll give you another scoop. Really, to me, we're going to define the Canon era on the 5-year anniversary. We're starting Canon work now, but the 5-year anniversary has been planned the whole time as the Canon era. The
Hmm.
Canon age, actually. I keep saying era. It's actually age. We will always refer to the last 5 years. We're still in it now. Up until May 11th or whatever the drop was, 12th. What was the drop? The 11th?
11th.
Um, that will be known as the alpha age. And after that, it will be known as nothing we ever do after May 11th, 2026, anything we do will always forever be canon, meaning, if you don't know what that term is, meaning if we say the well-rounded warthog has a zit, it has a zit forever. There's no going back.
Mm.
And everything we've been doing up to this point, whether the character is a boy or a girl, nice or not nice, all of that is alpha. We can fully blow it out. The comics right now are establishing the canon, and then everything we do, social media included, um, from May 11, 2026, will be canon. And so, pretty excited.
Thousands of collectors are gonna see the black cat right in their face. Going back to the 11th hour, right before launch date, the capable caterpillar was the logo. Andy said you looked at it and said, "That's not my fucking logo. I think it's the black cat." What do you remember from that moment of when it transitioned?
That ultimately the intuitive iguana will forever be underrated because I live with intuition, and my intuition was it's wrong. It might have been in my subconscious the whole time, but I made the move, and I'm really glad I did.
Let's go.
Rob, I apologize. I have a huge line of people standing in the rain.
I
I'm thrilled to give you a little bit more on Monday. Send me an email, but I got to run.
I appreciate you.
See ya.
Have a
Love you.
great day. Love you.
How are you?
Hey, G. Well, thank you, Rachel. I appreciate you. I'm gonna jump
Yeah.
right in. And by the way, it's so funny. The rare robot video going into its evolving moment, like, was such a vibe. Like, that was transformational, just gave me all the feels. But this wizard one, man, it shook me, and I was like, holy shit, Gary's the wizard. Um, Um, but I want to play with these few minutes. I want to play Remember When. So I'll throw out a scenario, and if there's a
Yep.
cool story or whatever, just shoot it at me. Going from 0 to 1 is always hard in anything, but that Uno collab was probably the first big collab. Was there anything? Was that a harder lift than usual,
No,
or
Mattel didn't want us to make more than 5,000 sets because they'd never sold more, and they'd done Harry Potter and Batman and Marvel. And I signed a contract that said that I would buy every set that was not sold after 100 days, um, because that's how confident I was. And then we sold out in 54 minutes, and they shit their pants, and I won.
amazing? And that was really cool too for the community, because everything else was higher price point. The NFTs and Zero Cool was super high, so that was our first taste for a lot of people that were paying attention.
Yeah, and I would
Um,
say that Gary B holograph Uno card is like a sneaky. Here's a little alpha that has good origin for like that could end up being a real collectible that right now, as you know, Rob, because you're so deep, no one's really talking or thinking about.
mm.
When they zig, you zag. Like right now, everyone's going ballistic on Chrome.
Listen, I was looking up wizard packs last night. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I think as we keep doing things, people get like, I can only hide stuff for so long. We have 250 characters. Why was there a wizard exclusive pack at the National?
I'm starting to understand more and more.
Yeah,
Um,
because you're really, really, really paying attention, trying to be the historian of the game, and things will start clicking in. Like, there's very little that I do by accident.
mm, I
Like, like, why did I wear the Courageous Cockatoo shirt on the stage to close out the first chapter of VCon?
mm.
Does anyone think in a world where I have every one of the shirts that was random?
On that note, Series One holders got their boxes a few days early. Was that on purpose?
Yes, ish. Meaning, I'm not in control of everything with tops. There was a very conservative effort to make Series 1 holders win with Chrome. There was an option to ship around release date or right after release date.
Got
So
it.
I got to control that choice to say around, which I knew could have created what it created, which was the community getting it first, even before us.
Mm. Over the 3 years of econ, there have been iconic moments, iconic keynotes. Do you have a special moment from 22, 23, 24 that sticks out?
23, the keynote with my brother and dad was really special to me.
Mm,
That was just like real special. I'm even getting emotional now. I know I'm going to watch that as an old man and be like, I'm glad this exists. Um, I think the first one, I think Jesse Itzler really burnt down the house. So I was really happy for him. That was really exciting for me. And the last one was the community stage, right?
mm.
Watching people who literally like were anonymous Gary V fans the day before I started promoting NFTs and VeeFriends in January, February, to being on stage and having an audience and being looked at. That was special.
Mm. In December 2020, Andy was looking to go a different route, maybe breaking away from Vayner, doing something else. In February 21, you said, we're making an NFT company. I want you to be president. Why did you go with Andy?
Andy was not gonna like leave. Andy and but Andy was ready. Sid was ready to move up. Andy was ready. May like it was just like you could feel, and I feel it now with certain people in my company. I have a very good feel when someone's ready or itchy or I'm ready. Um, Even when I give blessing to people to do other things, like sometimes I'll say no, or at least make them think about it. Other times I'm like, yes, this is right. I, I was going to do a direct to consumer sneaker brand with Andy as my gut. That's what I think was coming. I was very hot on doing another DTC. We'd just done the wine thing. Andy likes fashion. Like I like I even now he's trying to push me on a sneaker collab right now for VeeFriends. Like it's in him. Thought that that's where that could have gone. And then once VeeFriends happened, he was like the natural person. Andy was in place to like do what I want. I need, if somebody's going to be in an important spot, AJ, Andy, I need them to do what I want.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's not going to work. Like, it's not super. If I'm the money, if I own it, like, I can't have them do something I don't want.
of course.
Right. So now that doesn't mean that I don't want them to think, push back. Andy does all those things, come up with their own stuff. I mean, Andy is instrumental to us exploding with GIFs all over the internet right now. Not me. Like,
Hmm.
so, I give my team a ton. Actually, in fact, like, if you speak to Andy, if you speak to AJ, if you speak to anybody, Eric Wattenberg, who runs VaynerWatt, if you ask anybody who runs a Vayner company, I give them a ton of room. When I say I want like three things, right? Dustin was shaking his head right now. He knows on Team Gary, like, people have a lot of freedom with content. They're just like, it's rare for me to impose my will. But when I do and it's not done, then there's troubles. And that's because if I never ask, like, wouldn't it be respectful to like wouldn't it be nice to like feed me when I'm rarely hungry? Like,
Mm.
give me a sip of water. Can you please give me water? I don't want your orange juice. I didn't ask for fucking a taco. I said, give me a glass of water. So like, that's Andy was the right person for the job.
Makes a ton of sense. Last couple of minutes, I just want to do some rapid fire. I call it macro, micro. Just fire away, one word answer, or you could elaborate. And this one's been documented, but favorite teacher you had growing up and one reason why?
Miss Lippy, actually, who I don't give out a lot of, Mr. Hanks in high school in history, Miss Lippy, who I liked a lot in like fourth and fifth grade. I haven't thought about her in a while. I'm glad I got to recall it right here. Just people that saw me,
Um,
that saw me.
Amazing. I thought you were going to go with the
Oh,
Miss
Mrs.
Lippy from
Kennedy.
Billy Madison.
Well,
Um,
Mrs. Kennedy, my Spanish teacher, is the one I give most public flowers to, and she's a beast, and I see her all the time, and I love her. And she actually is number one on that list. But Mr. Hanks saw me a little bit, and I enjoyed history. And Miss Lippy definitely saw me in fourth and fifth grade. Just saw me.
do you have a favorite physical piece of VeeFriends memorabilia or collectible?
Probably, but like not yet, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
maybe, like I will. Like right now, I'm too in it. I will. I will. Like there's. I like that. Like I like because I'm. It's more that I like the strategy of it. Like I'm. Kudos to you. Like I like the Wizard Pack a lot. I like the Gary B auto hologram a lot. We brought up both those things. I like the Flexing Fox gold statue.
Mm.
Which is kind of underrated. I'm obsessed with I think the Skeletor Skilled Skeleton Pack is easily one of the most undervalued collectibles in VeeFriends universe.
I'm looking forward to factions in the VeeFriends universe. Do you prefer NWO or DX in that era?
NWO.
Well, I know you're a Djokovic fan now, but in the era that you grew up in, 80s, 90s, who
Stefan
was your
Edberg.
guy?
John McEnroe was my favorite tennis player, but then when he was like retiring, kind of fading out, I loved Edberg's game because he was like little at the net, kind of like I played. Michael Chang when he won that French
Mm.
Open. Michael Chang in that one moment, that French Open when he beat Lendl, I lost my mind. I was like, I'm Michael Chang. My best friend in school at the time was Brian Chen. I was like, you're Brian Chen. I'm Michael Chang. Like, let's go play tennis. I love Michael Chang.
89 French Open. That's
I'll
amazing.
never forget that French Open to the day I die.
You said that your favorite wrestler in the Attitude Era, we know you're a Macho Man guy, but the Attitude Era was Y2J.
Yep.
He jumps out at me because he's like both a face and a heel. Is there any character in VeeFriends that's so over that you could see like totally pivoting?
Yes. I will say this. I'm leaving you with this.
Yep.
This.
Mm.
There is nothing close right now in VeeFriends world that's more important than the comic books. And that will eat up the oxygen of 2026, I predict.
G, I appreciate you so much. If you want to co-sign me to Robbie or your sister, anybody for a conversation, that would mean the world.
You can email me about those two, and I will forward the emails and get you co-signed.
Amazing.
All
Have
right.
the best
Yeah.
day.
Take care.